Welcome to the O Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
How's it going, Dan?
Good, man.
See, you didn't wash away in the flood?
Yeah, we had a lot of rain down here in Florida. Yeah. We're going from Gotham to the west side of New York for this episode. So we just
Same
did
thing,
our...
isn't it?
Well, Gotham City's really in New Jersey, but basically alluded to more, I think, of, New York origin.
Yeah, we never pointed that out
things.
In our Batman review.
Which we just
we
did.
didn't point out how they just blatantly use New York.
Right.
Times Square.
Right.
And it just said Gotham Square. That's the first time somebody's just boldly said, yeah, we're in New York.
Yeah, we're here. So it's March 20th, 2022, when you get in this episode. And like you said, we just came off the Batman review, which was a pretty lively discussion. And we'll see how this one goes.
See you wipe the froth from your mouth.
Yeah. I haven't got my second ticket, but I'll be going back to see it again while I'm off. I'm on a little vacation here. So yeah, we're going to do the Steven Spielberg reimagining, if you will, of West Side Story. This came out December 10th, 2021. So it's been out a little while. But again, we're doing it because it's our run up to the Oscars. So we're making sure that we cover every Best Picture nominated film.
I was at your house when the trailer came out. We were watching TV and all of a sudden,
Wait, you were at my house. I was your
there.
House. No.
Well, we were in the same place when it came out. We were both like, wow.
Well, actually, no. I saw this trailer quite a while back.
Did you?
Yeah. And I actually came to you and said, wow, this looks... I didn't even know he was doing it.
Right.
I hadn't heard anything about it. Right. And then all of a sudden, and I saw the trailer, it was a preview ahead of whatever other film I had gone to see at the time. And I remember just saying, wow, that looks striking. I'm gonna have to check that out. And I've been anticipating it ever since.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen the original West Side Story at that point. But before we dive into this review, let's let the folks know up top. For those that are not currently following us, make sure that you do. Easiest way to find all things Oh Brother, you know it, is to go out to our wish. Yeah, you know it. Little Bobby Brown action.
You want it.
Is go to our official website, which is OHB as in brother podcast.com. That's ohbpodcast.com. Get access to all things Oh Brother out there. And please help support the show and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like our videos out there, so it helps get the content out to more and more people. If you give us a thumbs up, it really does help. It's funny because we were talking, I think during the Batman review, about YouTube and the subscribers. And, it's going up and we're thanking people and we're like grateful. And we get off the air. 2 minutes later, we lose a subscriber. Only us.
I know. And I said to you before, that's so tough because they have to consciously go in. You can hit subscribe and then forget about us, never watch us again.
That's right. You have to make the choice.
Consciously go in.
Yeah, I want to leave these guys.
That? Yeah, I want to make sure I never see that face again.
It's hurtful. It's a little hurtful. I'm not going to lie.
It's a little hurtful.
So look, we're just trying to get, now there's YouTubers out there, right? We know they've got just in Rexer, the Rexer show. He's got over 3,000 subscribers. Folks, we're just trying to get to 100. We just want to get to 100. If you can help us do that, tell folks about the show, share the show. All right. So West Side Story. Again, this came out December 10th. This is Steven Spielberg versus Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins, who kind of co-directed the original West Side Story film, which was 1961. It was first on Broadway, right? In the late 50s.
Yeah. And then they made the movie.
The film, right?
It was back, it was off Broadway. It was somewhere else. Then it come back. I saw it on Broadway.
Oh, and I see you've got it behind you there.
Yeah, I've got it right there. The 50th anniversary.
Now, we saw this on Disney Plus. It's on Disney Plus,
and it came out the same day as the DVD or Blu-ray came out. same day.
Is that out already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, and there's I want to say it's about a 40-minute documentary on Disney Plus too that you can watch. And then I also went to HBO Max and watched the original West Side Story.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yeah. And there was also a 60th anniversary of that with 3 of the stars from the original West Side Story. And I'm sure we'll talk about them as we go back and forth here. Right. It's kind of unavoidable not to talk about the original that really set the template for what Spielberg's film is here. So how do you want to kick it off? Do you want to give a quick synopsis? Because I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen the original. So for me, it was brand new.
Okay, I can give a real quick
couple of warring.
It's basically, this neighborhood in New York where it's kind of being torn down. And as it's being torn down, the whites are fleeing and the Puerto Ricans are just coming into the neighborhood.
Yeah, the ethnic
kind of taking
whites
over. So the whites that are on the lower end of the pay scale are staying because they can't afford to move to other sections of New York. So these gangs break out, a white gang and a Puerto Rican gang, and they're fighting over the territory.
The Jets and the Sharks.
The Jets and the Sharks.
Right. It's like, I don't know if that'll come off on the edit. So that's good enough, I think. And so let's run it down a little bit here. Let's talk about, and again, we'll probably go back and forth, but so the main stars, we've got Ansel Elgort, if I'm saying that right. Elgort, is that right? Ansel, he was in Baby Driver, right?
Yeah.
Elgort. He plays Tony.
He was in the trilogy with Shailene Woodley, Divergent and those.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
He was in that trilogy.
Now, here's a very interesting one was Rachel Zegler, who plays Maria, who, hot off of her starring role as Princess Fiona in Shrek at her high school.
Right.
In Hackensack, New Jersey. I mean, what a story this is.
How does that happen?
It's amazing. And she was only the second actress that Spielberg saw, like the first day, I think, out of like 30 actresses. So it's just a wild story. It's wild. Mike, how do you say Mike's name? Mike Feist or Feist, who plays Riff?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
He plays Rift. Rift. Like he plays Riff. Give me a mishap for that. I had already said Riff, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Ariana DeBose. Is that right?
I'm not going to
help
We
both don't know.
Yeah.
And of course, she played Anita, which was Rita Moreno's character in the original. Can we just say that first of all, she's a legend. Yeah. She's one of the last remaining actresses from the golden age of cinema.
And the golden age of Broadway.
Yeah. First of all, she looks phenomenal at 90 years old. I mean,
how old was she?
Phenomenal.
She won.
She was almost about 30.
Was she that old?
Yeah, she was. She was.
And she's in the remake,
she's in the remake,
she looks great.
Yeah. And it was a really genius way that Tony Kushner wrote her into this version. You can talk about that if you want, but one of the things in the documentaries that I found fascinating was this was the 60th anniversary documentary that's on HBO Max, and she had said she was going to go out for the Broadway production, and she got cold feet. She was going to go and audition for the part of Maria.
Oh, wow.
And she got cold feet. And then by the time, she came around to being open and I guess brave enough to do it, I guess she looked more like Anita at that point. Like she just fit that character better,
It's technically a bigger part, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And she, of course, is, of Puerto Rican heritage. And
I saw Debbie Allen, I think.
Yeah, you said from Fame.
Yeah.
Okay. Where was that? Was that in New York?
That was in New York. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So we've run down the main cast. Oh, and David Alvarez, who plays Bernardo in Spielberg's version, which was another interesting story. He won a Tony award at like 13 years old.
I didn't
Then
know
he
that.
just goes off the grid and he goes like backpacking in Mexico or something for the last several years. And I think the casting director, I believe, who worked with Spielberg, saw this and said, "Oh, where is David Alvarez? Why are we not auditioning?"
What was the Tony for?
I forget. It was him and two other boys back then. I can't remember what it was, but you could see how talented he was then, which of course, if you got the Tony. So anyway, she reaches out, tracks him down, and sure enough, he comes and auditions and then, eventually gets the part. But just some mind-blowing stories of how this came to be cast.
You left out like the most important names, I think, when it comes to West Side Story.
Of this version or the original?
Both.
Well, I haven't gone into the original yet.
Oh, okay.
Other than Rita Moreno. But of this one, who did I miss from the current?
Well, I'm talking about the music and lyrics.
Oh, right. No, we can talk about that now. So, and what was interesting, I mentioned, the themes, the message here, and one of the reasons Spielberg wanted to do this because he felt so passionately that this story needed to be brought to a new generation. And it really is as timely now as it ever was, which is sad, but that's the reality. And, I mentioned this whole controversy down here in the great state of Florida about the Don't Say Gay bill, as it's being called, the parental.
Didn't it pass already?
Yeah. Wow. And then it's got to go to the governor and he's going to, of course, sign it. Yeah.
Shocking.
But it's interesting because the four gay Jewish men were behind, with a brilliance behind the original. And you're starting to allude to them, and go ahead and give us the four names.
Carl Bernstein did the music. What did I say?
Hold on, Kelley. Give us like an amplified, glorified version of the mishap counter, because this is such a great faux pas. I love this.
How did I say it?
And hold on, I'm going to tie this in, which is a really bizarre link. I'm going to link this to our previous episode of the Batman. I didn't get to say this, but this is great. In the Batman, just quick sidetrack here. In the Batman, Peter Sarsgaard, who played District Attorney Gil Colson.
Yeah.
And then there was another character. I can't think of the other character. It might have been the police sergeant or something. Well, they were names taken from real life figures from the Watergate scandal back in the Nixon administration, right? Which of course makes me think of the great movie, All the President's Men, right?
Right.
With Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. And so you just said one of the reporters that Hoffman and Redford are portraying said Carl Bernstein. It's actually Leonard Bernstein. So not even close.
I figured I got the last name wrong, but
that's
great.
Wow.
I don't know if that was sitting in my head.
Yeah. Carl is still with us too. He's still writing books.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the other member I was mentioning was Stephen Sondheim. Wow, it just got stuck in the throat there.
Yeah, well, but I don't know why, because you just gonna say we just lost him in November.
He just
passed away. Yeah.
The week it opened.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he saw the finished product, but it was sad because, man.
Well, there's an interview. I guess it was his last TV interview or last American TV interview or something that's in the documentary.
Yeah.
If you watch that, the one
I
that's
haven't
on
watched
Disney
it yet, but
it's good. It's good. So
Geez,
Stephen Sondheim did the lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
No.
You weren't going to mention Jerome Robbins, who was the choreographer.
Right.
And then Robert Wise was the director. Now, basically, Robbins, he directed all the musical numbers, and then Robert Wise stepped in and did all the rest.
Yeah.
Now, what you'll find out,
everything in the new one is based on the work of the original.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. With some differences, though. I mean, Spielberg definitely made some different choices.
Oh, yeah. Right. I mean,
nothing too dramatic.
Character and
that's right. And
I got to tell you, though.
Okay.
When I saw, either you told me, I thought we watched it together.
No. Maybe when I was there and we, when I was there, we did the Get Back episode. We might have
maybe
might have seen it
because
then,
you had definitely said, can't wait to see it.
Right.
Looks great.
Yeah, I think it was then.
And
which was in
reaction,
November, actually, when Sondheim passed away.
Yeah, so maybe it was then. So my reaction was totally different. I kind of just like nodded my head, but all I was thinking was, really?
Why do we need that?
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's
why do we need to?
Right.
Right.
Why do we need it? It's I mean, you can't tell how wide that is, but it's got a book. It's got 3 discs, extras. I'm like, do we really need to dig this up?
And I want to say, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and say that I'm going to give the Rotten Tomatoes and the IMDb scores here just to set something up. So the critics have this at 92% and the audience 94%. And the Metascore on IMDb is 85. So very solid. It's clearly fresh, as they say.
Unfortunately, this one was released on Spider Day.
The week before, I think. It was the week before. I think they bumped it up 10th, or something, but right around then. Yeah. Right. Which, and that's something like the Batman, which has done some pretty good numbers its opening weekend. It doesn't have any competition. And this is something you have to keep in mind, right? Like we talked about that with Spider-Man. Right. He's saying it too, the Spider-Man. It really depends on what else is out there at the time and when it's released, and certain like China and Russia and the things that are going on over there right now. Those numbers aren't, because theaters are shut down or they're bombing them or whatever the heck's going on, so that all impacts the box office, of course, at least globally. But I was thinking about, in terms of the reception of this, which I don't know, do you know how much this has pulled in so far?
I don't. I usually always look, and I didn't look.
Because I wonder, it just makes me think of this whole controversy with Sam Elliott and his comments about the power of the dog. And you mentioned this homophobia that exists out there. And I wanted to mention, let me just mention this because I think I have, I wanted to, there was an article in the Hollywood Reporter, and it was Benedict Cumberbatch, who of course starred in The Power of the Dog. He was participating in some BAFTA event, some panel that he was on, and he responded to Elliott's comments on Mark Maron's podcast. And he said, quote, "I'm trying very hard not to say anything about a very odd reaction that happened the other day on a radio podcast over here without meaning to stir up the ashes of that," end quote. And then I just want to get to this one thing that he said right here, where he says, there's also a massive intolerance within the world at large towards homosexuality still, towards an acceptance of the other, of any kind of difference, and no more so, I guess, than in this prism of conformity of what's expected of a man in the Western archetype mold of masculinity. So I think to deconstruct that through Phil, the character he played in The Power of the Dog, to look at that, it's not a history lesson, end quote. I just thought that was really such an eloquent, very articulate way to respond to that.
And
my point of bringing that up real quick was just, it went through my head, in terms of who's going to go see this movie, who isn't going to go see this movie.
Because of the racism or whatever?
No, because of
because are you talking about West Side Story?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Oh, okay.
Men dancing around,
correct,
and all of that. And
I'm not going to see a bunch of guys, dancing
correct. And if that's the attitude, you're going to miss out on what is just a fantastic film. Both of them. I had the chance to go back and watch the original. So I was able to compare the two, and I like them equally. It was so enjoyable.
It's funny because, again, right up until I started watching the new one, I still had it in my head, do we need it? And then all of a sudden the Jets come over the hill.
Yeah.
And the way the choreography is so good.
It's so good.
It's set to the music. Every little arm movement is set to a note. This is before they even start snapping or anything.
Right.
You know, you hear the horns and every arm movement, every head movement. It's just
the syncopation. I mean, it's mind blowing. Like, and that's the thing. Look, I'm not a big musicals guy. I'm not a huge, but I did growing up. I did love Grease, which does fall into that category. And I didn't realize, and you tell me your thoughts on this. I think this is fair to say that Francis Ford Coppola had to be inspired when he made The Outsiders, one of my favorite movies, with just a legendary cast at the time, including the late great Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
There's so much, when I think back to The Outsiders, because I know that movie like the back of my hand, there's so much of it that I now see drawn from the 61 film West Side Story.
Right.
The greasers and the socias, the socialites, right? The Jets and the Sharks.
Yeah. Anytime
those themes,
the gangs, you think of both films.
I'm trying to see who was the choreographer or choreographers for this. I know, again, I said Jerome Robbins for the original.
Right.
But
I know they followed his, his kind of form, because the original is just as brilliant as far as the choreography. I should have the name on my head.
I don't know why I don't see it, but
and,
Jerome Robbins, this is something you'll learn if you watch. I would encourage you to watch.
I probably have seen it. I haven't seen the new documentary.
Yeah, watch them both.
Yeah.
But the one that's probably on the set that you have behind you from the 1961 version, well, it was just done in 2021.
Oh, so it's new.
It's a newer one, right?
So it's probably not in this box.
No, and
this is,
I
believe,
yeah, you're right. It wouldn't be in there.
It wouldn't
be
the
in
50th.
There. Right. Yes. Yeah, it wouldn't be. And it's is it Bernard Mankiewicz, the host for the Turner Movie Classics? He's the one that does the interview, and it's Rita Moreno. Yeah. It's Rita Moreno. Help me out. Bernardo from the original. George Chakiris. Yeah, George Chakiris and Russ Tamblyn, who played Riff in the original. And it's the three of them. And they've all become really good friends over the years. But they all spoke about how mean Jerome Robbins was
really
on set. Now, he was a perfectionist to a fault. And he was he was good to them, but like to the other dancers, if they weren't the main stars, he was brutal, it sounded like. And George Chakiris, who plays Bernardo in the original, he comes to his defense, admittedly, even in the interview, and I guess he has over the years, just because they all regarded him as a genius. They said there's no question he was a genius at what he did.
Right.
But he could be really cruel. In fact, one of the things that Russ Tamblyn says is they do this whole scene where the Jets are, going down this long street. They get it done, and it's like, okay, good. How was that for you, Bob? The director, and how's that for you, Jerome, or Jerry, as they call him? He said, yeah, it's good. We'll print it, but now I want you to go back and all the dancers do it again on the opposite foot. So Russ Tamblyn was just trying to make the point that in his mind, it was more because Jerome Robbins got fired from the film.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he?
But Russ Tamblyn said it was because those kind of things. He just would waste time doing these nonsensical things.
If he says print it, it's done.
Right. Makes me think of you in drum corps. Like you must have had some of those days in the afternoon sun. It was just like murder.
Oh, I can't even
rehearsing it over and over and over again.
We used to get up at 6 a.m. and we would finish at 1 a.m.
Because you can relate to this with the choreography. There's a lot of that in drum corps with the syncopation and the steps and the,
I've done 2 musicals, so
yeah, and the drum, and the drum, right.
So like for me, I've been to Broadway at least a dozen times and, was into musicals that I was never should have been cast for because I can't sing.
Right.
And
I'll vouch for that.
I figured I went because I just loved being in plays, and I went and I auditioned, and I happened to know the directors, and they liked me so much from, because I'm a good listener. I do tell me what to do, I do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting to be cast where I would be singing a solo. And that's what happened. And some nights it was good, and some nights it was
not so good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, it's really interesting. Oh, we didn't mention, because I said Richard Beamer, right? Richard Beamer played Tony in the original. I've mentioned George Chakiris and Russ Tamblyn, and of course Rita Moreno. We didn't mention Natalie Wood yet, who of course plays Maria. Now this is that could be a whole nother episode.
Exactly.
On Natalie Wood, who was
19, right?
Yeah, she was very young. Yeah, she was also very white. And
yes,
in the again to kind of reference the documentary, Rita Moreno doesn't hold back at all with expressing her disappointment in that casting at the time. She didn't feel it was appropriate.
Imagine today.
Right, exactly.
No
and
way.
See, this is one of the things that Steven Spielberg is able to do today.
Yeah.
He's able to write all of that, because I agreed with her. Like, if you go back and watch the original, it's always just the clips I've seen over the years. It always bothered me, the makeup that they used in the sharks, especially George Chakiris, who again plays Bernardo.
Yes.
Which is Maria's brother. The makeup is so ridiculous. And Rita Moreno's like, why couldn't we just be my skin color? Why do we it was so thick and obnoxious,
Yeah.
But it's 1960, 1961. So
just the fact that they got it out there.
Right.
That's true. Was kind of lucky.
That's true. But you don't have that here, right? You've got a very diverse cast. In fact, you have and I don't have the name at the ready, but the first, I want to say, trans and non-binary,
that's caused up a big stir.
Yeah, right. And I had to go back, because again, I hadn't seen the original to know this character named Anybody's that's in that, and also in the Steven Spielberg version. But again, it's just totally different.
It's very a tomboy. It's a tomboy in the original.
Yeah, right. Correct.
Here, it's clearly a transgender, and they don't hide it.
Right.
But there's a lot of feedback.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Negative.
I'm sure
about that.
Does Sam Elliott have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I'm sure he loved it.
Gone on the record with that.
It's just for somebody like that to be so damn ignorant.
Well, anybody, and this is why I say, it's disappointing to me to think that people would miss out on just a well-crafted film and piece of work like this because of maybe, some narrow-minded, attitude or perspective that they might have on something like this. But so let's come back around more to the current film. And then we can kind of teeter-totter back and forth with the original. But what's your overall thoughts on the film?
There wasn't much I didn't like, if anything.
So you were surprised at how much you liked it, because you said you were like, I don't know.
I mean, first
before
off,
you saw it,
every song is a hit. You know what I mean? Every song, even if you've never seen it. Like you, I bet you knew every song.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you get to enjoy this incredible soundtrack. And then to watch the choreography go with it.
I have for a long time now, had such respect for anybody that has that skill. It's so fascinating to watch. They were all fantastic. Even the most, peripheral character, is just spot on.
And they're working. Believe me.
Yeah,
they're working.
Oh, they're totally working. And Ariana DeBose, I think is how you say it, who plays Anita in this version. She said when they do the song in America, which is brilliant in both the original and this. I love how Spielberg takes it out in the street, as opposed to in the original, it's on a rooftop.
Correct.
But it's just so gorgeous looking in the street. She said she burnt holes in her shoes. It was so hot when they were filming that sequence in New York. And, you know, Spielberg shutting down sections of New York to like make the film.
Know.
That's crazy.
That's like, I worked in Japan.
Right.
Which was, a musical as well. And I got to sing like the best
dressed
medley.
Up like a dead,
I was dressed up like a zombie, but I got to sing, Devil with the Blue Dress.
Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. Yeah,
exactly. I got to sing the best. I had the best score of anyone.
Yeah.
The worst singer gets the best. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
But that was 2 months,
mm-hmm.
2.5 months. And it's 2 shows every night. Didn't get a single day off. And it averaged in Tokyo 105 at night.
Wow.
Every single night. And we would leave. We would do our 2 shows and we would leave. I would go back to the hotel, put on my jogging shorts and run around the hotel for, because I was so addicted to running.
With the makeup in that heat.
Oh, it was. It would just become a mess.
Yeah.
And then we would have to sit for pictures.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to sit on the stage.
Yeah.
And all these people would come up to us. We were sold out. The first 2 nights, people didn't know what to think. And Japanese people, very polite. They don't clap. So we thought,
you're like, are we doing bombing? Good or are we not?
We are bombing. And then by night 3, the people are coming at 8 a.m. to reserve their seats.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sold out from that point.
Did you win any awards for that performance?
I didn't, and I don't think I should have.
Well, who did win is, let's go back to Rita Moreno for a minute.
Yes.
Because I just want to play this short clip and then we'll talk about this. But
a short clip.
Yeah, short clip.
And Rita Moreno in West Side Story. May I have the envelope, please? Rita Moreno in West Side Story.
Now her speech here, let's see if we can get to where she gets the award, okay? Let's see.
I can't believe it! Good Lord! I leave you with that.
And that was her speech. But so that's 1962. Now she's an EGOT member. Tell anybody that's not familiar what that means.
Well, it's like a group. It's like a
she's won the 4 top.
Yes, the 4 top awards, which is
EGOT,
Tony.
Well, do it. EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. Yeah, so that's a very elite group.
That's an elite group, and you get a nickname. You're called. Oh,
it's not an EGOT member.
Well, yeah, you're an EGOT member, but you're also considered
Oh, I don't know.
I forget what it is. It's like a four-time or something like that. When you have all those skills.
It's like SNL, the 5-timers club. You get a jacket and it's a very special ceremony.
No, they actually give you more for that than having those talents. Ansel shocked me how good he was.
Now, see, I wasn't familiar. I mean, I knew of him, but I'd never seen Baby Driver. I really hadn't seen any of his work. So
you haven't seen Fault in Our Stars?
I hadn't seen that. No,
his big hit.
Right, that's right.
But all of those movies I've seen him in,
and he said, he's done all kinds of musicals in high school,
but he wasn't new to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he goes by like Anslo, I think.
Oh, I didn't
when
know
he's
that.
DJing, it's Anslo, like he drops one of the letters.
Oh, wow.
But he just blew me away, and I had to go and look to see if they all did their own singing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I had to go look and see that because
and I
it
believe
was so good.
I believe they did, right?
They did. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, which was of course not the case for the original with
right.
Maybe the exception, did Rita do some of it?
I'm sure she did.
Oh yeah. But I know, Natalie Wood and like
but
they
see,
were all
it's
dubbed.
different because back then I bet they had to sing while they danced.
Right.
And if you've ever tried to do that, and I was talking about the time I was in Japan, I sang my medley, and I had a break. That it was a musical break. And I don't know why, but on the first night I decided to jump off the stage as high as I could. I would land in about the 4th row, and then I would run around the entire place, and I would get to my spot just as I was about to. There was a girl behind me in a blue dress, devil with the blue dress. She would hold the mic. I would run, sprint, get there just as the music started, and I had to sing again. But that's why I was running around the building to keep my cardio so ridiculous,
right,
that I could do that. But yeah, people don't realize when you're singing and dancing, a lot of times you see groups, they're not really singing.
Let's talk a little bit about the directing. I mean, good Lord, what can you say? What can you say?
I don't know.
It's so masterful by Spielberg. And what I love, and this is true for the original, was the way the color palette, the way the colors were just sort of, it was like a box of crayons, it was just these pastels that were just kind of hinted throughout. I mean, they were very prominent, but
in the apartment,
right,
where she's hanging up, she sews for a living,
right,
Anita, and they hang up all the linens, and they walk through the linens, and they have a number where they're, it's just,
I was just fascinated by, again, we're talking about the directing, but the dancing is just so crazy good. They're so talented.
Months.
And that Ariana, she was prior to that, she had a role in Hamilton, so she was no stranger to big acts. But it's just, I don't know how you can't respect
and then
that.
To see Rita Moreno, who is in the new one.
Oh yeah, talk about that. Yeah, so
to see her belt out A Place for Us, right, which is normally sung by, in the original, isn't it sung by
Maria? I think so. Yeah.
So
right,
to hear her, but they restaged it in a way it made sense.
The last song in the Spielberg's version is different than that they use in the 61 version. That was it, because it didn't make as much sense, I think Kushner was talking about, so they changed that up a little bit. There's a few little differences like we've referenced already.
Right.
Now, what I loved about this, because I didn't know it at first, of course, I had to go back and watch the 1961 version. There's a character in the 1961 version who runs a drugstore, and his name is Doc, this older guy. So in the new Spielberg's version, Rita Moreno plays Doc's widow.
Right.
It's a brilliant, it's a stroke of genius as to how to get her into
she
the film.
Talks about the relationship because he was white.
Yes, that's right. And in the documentary, not to keep spoiling that, but in the new documentary, she talks about how when she got the call, do you want to be in West Side Spielberg's what? She said, I don't do cameos, she said.
Right.
And he's no. Tony's actually written a part for you. And she's like, oh yeah, well, of course I want to be in it, and she jumped at the chance. But thank God she's here to do it. I mean, it's such a nice touch.
Now, as we inch towards we're going to do our picks next video, I believe, for the Oscars.
Right.
As we inch towards it, do you see this, winning any awards?
I mean, I could see, best director,
You said that last week.
I know. It's that's the thing with, seeing them here. And I was just blown away by it. I was blown away. And this is not even seeing it in the theater, seeing it. And of course we have fairly large TVs, but I just was blown away.
Yeah.
I just
Did you
could
have
not
the
believe how
sound,
nice it was.
the sound bar on? And
I didn't actually know.
Oh, wow.
I didn't have it on.
Yeah,
but
you should go back. And, before we leave the point about singing and dancing, in the 60s, what they had to sing while they were dancing. That's why a lot of people didn't do the singing, or they were great dancers, but they couldn't sing. Today, they can record it all in a sound stage, which is what they did. And then they can dance around and sing it, but it's not the singing you're hearing. You're hearing the singing from when they were just, standing at a microphone like this.
And speaking of singing, I want to show another brief clip here. Now, that I've been watching a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm these days. And there's a great scene in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
This is Officer Crumpy.
Just going to play a real quick.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Fire alarm.
That's it?
Yeah, I gotta be thorough.
Is that your name?
Yeah.
Krupke?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, Matt Krupke.
You're Officer Krupke.
I am.
Familiar with West Side Story?
No, sir.
What? There's a character in West Side Story named Officer Krupke.
Okay.
You're Officer Krupke. You never heard the song?
No, sir.
Oh, Officer Krupke, what are we to do?
All right. I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Right.
But that's a great episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Because you first watched that without knowing.
That's right. And
what he was talking about.
And that's the name of the episode, is Officer Krupke.
Yeah.
And that's the episode I told you, for anybody listening who's a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, go back and watch that episode, because early in the episode, Larry is in a retail store buying some pants.
Is that Ben Affleck?
And the fire alarm goes off. And as they're filing out of the store, totally random in the background, Ben Affleck is just one of the customers leaving. It's so random. There's no mention.
You sent it to me.
Yeah.
And you
I
said,
this is me, right? Is this Ben Affleck?
Is this Ben Affleck?
Totally
and I
Ben Affleck.
froze it and like made his face big. And I said, yep, Affleck.
Yeah, it's totally Affleck. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, I mean, where do you think it might pick up some hardware?
I would think in the musical department.
Well, sure. Okay.
I would think.
But it's weird because it's like, that's not original.
Right.
So
and
I don't know.
I think that's going to hurt it. I think we'll get to it when we get to the episodes, but I've almost got my
already
list
made up. Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still have 2 movies to see. I don't think they're going to change my mind, although one of them is winning a lot of awards.
Did you want to squeeze in just a couple of minutes on one that we're not going to do an episode on? Let's just get that out of the way now, because I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to.
And we can close out the episode.
But this is a movie you saw.
Yeah, I saw it on HBO, and it's 2.5 hours.
So this is Mike. Mike's quick review on Don't Look Up.
Quick review.
And Mike's going to retitle it "Don't Watch This Film."
Don't look at.
Don't look at it.
It's called Don't Look Up. How it got nominated for an Academy Award
Leo
is
DiCaprio.
Absolutely a mystery to me. And
name
I
some
guess
of the
it's
cast.
the cast.
Yeah, Leo DiCaprio,
Meryl Streep,
Jennifer Lawrence.
Well, you would think when you read the cast, oh, this is going to be brilliant. This is probably really good. And that's why I got nominated. Look at all these stars. It is horrible. It's about 2 astronomers. They're out looking at, comets or whatever, like they do.
What is there, an asteroid coming towards Earth or something?
All of a sudden, Jennifer Lawrence's character sees a comet. She says, "Oh my God, it's a comet!" And when you discover a comet, they name it after you.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. So while they're figuring it out and doing all the calculations, which is done by, of course, Leonardo, he figures that this thing is headed right to us, to the earth.
So they've got to make us aware.
It's big enough that it's going to blow the earth to smithereens.
It sounds like a new premise, doesn't it?
It's
it's an original idea.
And I'm telling you, they all look awful. I hate to say, if you think of somebody like Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo, you think, oh, it's probably real.
Well, obviously
glamorous.
it was intentional.
They look terrible.
This was set in the 70s or something?
I don't even know.
Okay.
I didn't do any research on it at all, other than watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about 10 versus 5. This shouldn't be in the top 50.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'd love to hear from somebody that saw it,
that liked it,
either liked it or didn't like it. I'd love to hear their opinion.
Sure.
Do they share it with me?
Right.
And I literally said to you, there's one where I'm going to save you from.
Yes.
Because it's that bad.
Right. Right.
And if it wins anything, I'm going to fall off my bed.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's shockingly bad.
Yeah. Well, if you do, don't look up. Make sure you don't look.
And the joke is they can't get anybody at the government. Meryl Streep's running for office.
To believe them or listen to them.
They can't. No, they don't want. It's like a Trump deal. They don't want to tell anybody. Like the virus.
Keep it covered
wink,
up. Yeah.
wink.
Right.
So if people don't know, they won't blame it on the administration.
Right.
So it's a big cover up. But then finally they get so frustrated on TV, they say, just look up. Will you just look up? That's where
wow, that's dumb.
That's where the title comes from.
Well, thanks for sparing us the
awful
grief of watching that. All right. So don't look up, but do watch West Side Story. Both Steven Spielberg's and Robert Wise's version, because they're both masterpieces. It'll
be a long night if you watch them back to back.
It will be a long night. Yeah, it will be, but well worth it. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyable. We'll have to see how it does at the Oscars, and we'll probably comment back on it again when we do that final show, which will probably come out on Oscar night.
Yes.
Or the day of the Oscars. We'll push that one out a little bit early.
Yeah.
On that Sunday,
so people don't think we're cheating.
Right.
We got 3 out of 5 last year, which wasn't.
Is that what it was? Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, again, for those of you that are not currently following us, make sure that you go out to our official website, which is ohbasandbrotherpodcast.com. That's ohbpodcast.com. And we could really use your support on YouTube.
Get for the person who left.
Yes. Who is it?
We're sorry.
Yeah, shoot us an email. Let us know why. What did we do to
Well, they're not watching us anymore. So
yeah, that's true. But they might be listening to us. Maybe they just couldn't stand our faces. They just don't want to look at us. That could be the problem.
I could believe that.
If it is, we want to hear about it.
That's
just let us know. We're here to serve you. That's why
fine.
we're here, folks.
I'll wear it.
Yeah, Mike will wear the 3D glasses.
I'll wear the mask.
He'll put a hood on like the Riddler if it comes to put some
I'll
on your head.
Put saran wrap. Yeah.
But if you could support us on YouTube, we'd appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up and like our videos out there. Hit the notification bell too, so you get a reminder every time we push out new content. And when we start going live, we start doing some of these live streams. That's what we should do for Oscar night. We should do like a live stream for the Oscars.
Yeah, but
we'll talk about it.
Watching.
I'm sure we'll debate that. Well, I mean, during the day, like when nobody's.
Oh, I see.
When no one's going to tune in.
When nobody's home.
On a Wednesday at 1 p.m.
Well, it's actually on a Sunday, so people would be.
That's on a Sunday, right? But yeah, here's a great one: West Side Story. Whether it's 61 or 2021,
it's really and if you're like me and you're like, I've seen the original like 3 times. I don't. It used to be. I remember as a kid. This was one of those movies that would come around once a year, and you were around, but the family would kind of gather around the one TV, and we would watch it.
Right.
It's that kind of movie. But if you think you've seen it, check out this new version.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because that was a little of what your attitude was before you saw it.
It was.
I don't know. Do we need, but it's, and again, having seen them both myself now, I can echo that as well. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for the West Side Story episode. of the Oh Brother podcast. I've been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.